All right, how you doing, everyone? Hope you had a good weekend. We've got some checking in to do. It's finally springtime. Got the plants out here now. Ficus tree. Downster is listening in from the field, chasing cow calves. That's commitment. Where y'all tuning in from? We'll get this show rolling in 20 seconds. All right. So we got to look at the NASDAQ and the broader market to start it off. So the NASDAQ had a big dump to end last week, Thursday, Friday, big red days closing at the lows. Futures overnight opened with some continuation to the downside. And now we are looking at a bounce attempt trying to shape up. So how is this bounce attempt looking? Let's zoom in. 4-hour time frame, not very impressive. EMA 12 resistance, just looking for a 4-hour lower high to be the result of this bounce. And still weak. Hourly. All right, trading sideways, not a whole lot going on. Bulls have proving to do. 15-minute time frame, looks like we just had a confirmed 15-minute trend change with zero follow through. So we can pretty much simply say, if the bulls do not see a new high of the day from here, they don't prove anything, and this is a weak bounce. And it would be a 4-hour bear flag if we don't see another new high of the day from here. So we've only got 2 hours left in the trading day before stocks close. So we have to see QQQ break the high of the day. And I am watching a little rising wedge right now on the shorter term time frames for QQQ. And it looks like that did just break bear. I was watching this. So long story short, bulls aren't proving much in the broader market. There's still a lot of fear. We know the dollar has been very strong. Recently, we've been seeing our commodities sell off as well. Pretty much, again, the biggest difference Thursday and Friday of last week is previously weakness in the market. We were seeing rotation going on, whether it was utilities, energy sector, healthcare sector, all showing strength while tech sees weakness and was rotating around. But Thursday and Friday, everything dropped together. Money was leaving the market and it left commodities as well. Uranium names getting crushed, gold and silver miners getting crushed. So we're still in that environment where the bears are confident and they're comfortable. And we're seeing that in the crypto space as well, where we've got Bitcoin breaking to a daily lower low, lower wick. So we have the bounce underway right now, 4-hour bounce. Again, consistently we're seeing that we're stronger than the NASDAQ. We have a bullish correlation to the NASDAQ, but we know that doesn't mean that we'll go up. That means we're positioned well if the NASDAQ bulls can get any bounce going, but if the NASDAQ stays weak, then we're going to stay weak in Bitcoin as well with how the current relationship is shaping up. So we have a bullish correlation with the NASDAQ, but the NASDAQ is still very weak. So on Bitcoin right here, I would call anything under 40,000 just a 4-hour lower high. Once we top out, bulls do have some space to try and shape up a trend change. 15-minute uptrend will be our guide. We can see the 15-minute uptrend from the morning is a lot stronger than the NASDAQ is currently giving us. NASDAQ topped out at 10:40 or so a.m. Eastern, right about here. And obviously we see Bitcoin has another leg up to a higher high. One other note, the crypto stocks have a bearish correlation with Bitcoin. Coin is hitting all-time lows. MARA just broke a triple bottom to the lowest levels it's seen in many months. So we're at year lows in a lot of crypto stocks, and we are not at near year lows on Bitcoin. So we're seeing that negative sentiment in the stock market impacting these crypto names more than it is impacting Bitcoin itself. So what do we need for Bitcoin to shift momentum? Again, for me personally, if I'm looking bullish, there's still just nothing that I'm looking at right now that's having me wanting to see any kind of act. I don't need to act right now. I'm just observing. Keeping an eye on this downtrend support line. Now that we held it a third time, it's not very meaningful to me, but just a visual guide. If we change the 4-hour trend, one of the reasons that I'm staying patient as a bull is if bulls do confirm a 4-hour trend change from here, all that means is that we're going to zoom out and scout a daily lower high, anything under 43,000. And so there's a lot of space for that still. So anything under 43,000 is just a daily lower high. So the two criteria of what has me interested, looking for a bull entry in Bitcoin and some of these other stronger altcoins, is extreme oversold conditions where we are lining up oversold on the daily, 4-hour, hourly, 15-minute, which we're not close to doing right now, or bulls proving to me on the daily time frame that I should be interested in an entry. And we know, bigger picture, it's all about the monthly potential bear flag, and this is the bulls, I should say the burden is on the bulls to prove to us that this is not a bear flag, because right now, this is a bear flag. So the bulls have to get over 43,000, more than that, have to get over 48,000 to try and negate this monthly bear flag. So long story short, in both the broader market and in Bitcoin, the burden is on the bulls on a lot of time frames, and a shift is needed. We have fundamental events coming up. This week we've got tech earnings. We've got Google and Apple and Amazon and Facebook and Microsoft. So the tech sector in the NASDAQ is going to significantly react to these earnings. And then next week we have the FOMC. And we know the dollar, we know the metals, we know the market, we know crypto. They're all going to react to the FOMC a week from this Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So we have to be keeping an eye on that as well. A couple short-term fundamental events that are going to impact the stock market, which then in turn will impact the cryptocurrency space. With the weakness that we saw on Bitcoin, the dominance chart went up. And that is because the altcoins were dropping faster than Bitcoin was. But there's a big upper wick on today's candle. Why is there a big upper wick? Because the altcoins are now also bouncing stronger than Bitcoin is. So this is Bitcoin dropping and alts dropping faster. This is Bitcoin bouncing and alts bouncing more significantly. And in the end, this dominance chart still just care about the more extreme levels in this tightening range. Not a whole lot going on over the last few days, or I should say the last few weeks, and just patiently observing that tightening range. So from there, looking at individual names, because there is still opportunity, and we're becoming more and more aware, as is the market, that on the weekends there is not a lot of opportunity. Bitcoin volume significantly drops off, and things slow down very significantly. And so when that happens, we need to find the coins that have the volatility. And there are a few out there, but the people that are looking to day trade on weekends are going to go to the names that have the volatility. And the names that have the volatility are going to be the smaller cap names. They're going to have lower market caps. They're going to have less dollar volume. And they're going to see bigger percentage moves. So we'll look at a couple of those, Ape and GMT being a couple of them. But want to get into a better practice of essentially, now we've seen enough times that we can anticipate less volatility in Bitcoin heading into the weekend, but we also know to focus on the names that have the high volume and volatility, because that is the funnel effect. So I talk about the funnel effect many times, but if you're in a market where there's only a few names to be looking at, there's a funnel effect for that dollar volume and that trading volume to go to those names. If you got 50 coins to choose from and Theta's going nuts and OMG is seeing a bunch of volatility and Mana and Sand, then there's no funnel effect. There's tons of dollar volume flying around all over the place. But if it's just a few names, you do get that funnel effect. So ETH/USD is the same thing. We need the 4-hour trend change back to the bulls. Again, solid bounce, still a downtrend, but we need the trend change back to the bulls. Then we zoom out and we scout a daily lower high to be the result of that bounce. Is this a potential falling wedge shaping up? My eyes just had it stand out to me, so it is possible. Again, that downtrending support that we just drew on Bitcoin is here on Ethereum as well. Let's just say that this is a possible setup. So the support line is more valid to me because we've got 3 touches. I want 3 touches at a minimum if a line is going to be valid. I consider this 2 touches. Granted, there's a few candlesticks in there, but 2 distinct touches. If we see a 4-hour trend change back to the bulls and a bounce on the daily, and we set a daily lower high and reject from this resistance, then this falling wedge is then going to become a lot more valid for me. So I now know, this is the first time I've drawn this, you're seeing it live, but I now know that I am paying attention to this, just as a visual guide. I'm not making any trades based off of it, but if we reject and pull back, I will be much more likely to use this pattern as a part of a potential trade game plan. But first things first, bulls would have to confirm a 4-hour trend change back in their favor if we were going to see anything shaping up. ETH BTC. So this sideways range we've been watching for a while, we broke bear, but obviously we can see zero follow through for the bears. What does a bear break mean with no follow through in this setup? It means zoom out and scout a weekly bull flag. Is this a weekly bull flag? Possibly. Absolutely, it's on the table. The simple statement is, if we hold weekly EMA 12, then it is a bull flag. The way I play bull flags is I find a level and I then say, all right, if this is going to be a bull flag, this level has to hold. Because if we were to drop down and see another lower low from here, then the odds of that being a bull flag would be much less for me. So I then look at this and say, okay, next time we pull back, if this were ETH USD, I would be looking for a 4-hour higher low entry and using this as a stop. So just something to keep an eye on, because if ETH BTC is a weekly bull flag, in my opinion, that's 1 point in favor of the bulls. Again, when I'm looking at this whole sector and saying, are we bearish or bullish? There's a lot of tallies in the bear column right now. All right, we lost daily support. The broader market is weak. We got FOMC overhang, perhaps a little bit of caution around that. But if ETH BTC sets up a weekly bull flag, that would be 1 point for me in the bull column, because we know that in a stronger crypto environment over the last 2 years, it's generally altcoins leading the way. Well, it's Bitcoin leading the way, and then the altcoins leapfrog and then see a more significant move up. But generally, it's the altcoin BTC pairings going up. So I want to see, if I want to be bullish in the crypto space, I want to see alt BTC pairings shaping up weekly higher lows, and ETH BTC is a potential weekly bull flag. And of course, if it does confirm a bull flag, that would tell me, if you're looking for any bullish entries, you're focusing on Ethereum, not Bitcoin. You're using Bitcoin to establish your trade game plans, but you're choosing Ethereum as your coin because the BTC pairing is stronger. And again, that's a big if. We need a 4-hour trend change from here. If we confirm the 4-hour trend change, we'll say, yep, bear break, no follow through. Probability for a weekly bull flag will increase a little bit. In the current market environment, we are not seeing a lot of volatility. There's enough volatility, but we're not seeing big dumps and super stack bounces. We're not seeing big breakouts and overextended, overbought alerts going out. So using the Trader Pro alert system right now, I would be focusing on inside bars and also on abnormal volume. Because think about it, if we have, let's go to the inside bars first, but if we have a wide range with a lot of volatility, you're going to be seeing periods where RSI levels are getting very extended in both directions. If you're in a tightening range, we know equilibriums and sideways trading on a smaller term time frame means inside bars on a longer term time frame. So if I'm on the hourly and we have an equilibrium forming, that will very often be a daily inside bar. And we also have volume as a part of equilibriums dropping off. Why does volume generally drop off in equilibriums? Constricting ranges, they're tightening up, there's less volatility, the volume drops off, and then the volume spiking is generally associated with a tightening range breaking. So the patterns to be watching in a sideways market are inside bars and abnormal volume. And of course, again, looking around for names that aren't trading sideways, that do have more volatility, and they are out there. So let's talk about Dogecoin. Dogecoin, huge green day, a lot of green volume. What's going on with Dogecoin? Again, this goes back to the stock world. So Elon Musk, with his bid to buy out Twitter, and some recent news over the last 24, 36 hours, is increasing the probability that Elon Musk is going to buy Twitter. It's becoming more likely. Twitter's stock price is reflecting it today, and the Twitter's board is reconsidering the offer. These little headlines are coming in. So we can say, from a zoomed out fundamental perspective that if Elon Musk buys Twitter, it's bullish Dogecoin because Elon Musk supports Dogecoin. It's also bullish for Bitcoin, in my opinion. That then increases the probability that Bitcoin gets added to the Twitter balance sheet, that Bitcoin gets incorporated with Lightning payments, tipping, whatever, however it gets implemented into the Twitter platform, it increases those chances. For me, it's also bullish Tesla just because, well, you could view it two ways. You could say, well, Elon Musk is a bit distracted. Maybe he has to sell Tesla shares to raise the funds to buy Twitter. But in my opinion, big picture, if you own a social media platform and you have a big old company, Tesla, in my opinion, that's more bullish than bearish. And there's also another way to play it in the stock world, DWAC, which is Trump's social media platform. It's been very weak because essentially, if Musk buys Twitter and opens it back up and says free speech and you guys are all welcome back, we're not going to ban you, the whole purpose of DWAC being in existence is null and void. So you can see a lot of people are shorting this name as Twitter is going up in response to all this going on. So back to crypto, Dogecoin is definitely responding to these headlines very significantly. And this is worth paying attention to. And again, Dogecoin previously has bounced and given these moves back. But as probabilities shift, for example, if the probability that Musk is going to buy Twitter is 70%, you're much more likely to see a spike and then profit taking. If the probability that Musk is going to get Twitter is 90%, you're going to look at people holding Dogecoin a little bit longer for the possibility of, again, the longer term fundamental impacts if he implements it into the platform. So right now we have this spike, an hourly bull flag, and this is going back to what I was talking about with, abnormal volume. Look at this 5 minute here and just absolutely nothing going on. And then there's your abnormal volume spike and then a lot of volume behind it. And that's just part of kicking off the big time move. So hourly, bull flag confirmed. What does this mean bigger picture? Well, we're taking out a lot of resistance. Let's go to the monthly. So monthly bounce is now underway. Monthly inside bar, bull break. All right. What's the weekly looking like? Weekly high or low is set as far as I'm concerned. So we're viewing this as the low, high of the bounce, weekly high or low now. And if bulls can break 18 cents, we confirm the first weekly uptrend in a while. And then the monthly bounce gets followed through. So it's all about 18 cents from here. But a very notable move. Have to be watching the short term because, again, these moves in the past have been given back. And any kind of negative headline, got to use stop losses because a negative headline, it's going to dump. We could see last time it topped out, it was a big enough hourly pullback to anticipate an hourly lower high. So next time we see hourly consolidation, keep an eye out for that. And that's where retracement size comes in handy. If the retracement size is minimal, we look for continuation. If the retracement size is significant, we then look for an hourly lower high to be the result of the next bounce. So that can help us gauge strength as well. BTC pairing on Doge is breaking, testing, I should say, recent resistance. The weekly already set a weekly high or low. We're seeing the potential that the BTC pairing is going to confirm a weekly trend change first, which would be bullish. Again, we know if I'm a crypto bull, I want my alt BTC pairing to be doing the exact same thing as the US dollar pairing or leading the way up. And Doge BTC is currently leading the way up. It is right now testing the highest level in a couple months, and Doge still has a bit of a ways to go before we get there. Doge has 15, 7, 8, and then 18. So keeping an eye on Doge BTC for clues. Hourly bull flag, spotlight correlation. How long can these bulls keep this spotlight correlation going? But there's your volatility. Aggressive bears are keeping an eye out for a short. Again, very cautious on that because the closer we get to the potential where it's then the next headline would be Twitter board approves Elon Musk's bid 20 cents a share, blah, blah, blah. And then you likely get another solid leg up. If we keep running, if Dogecoin keeps running up for a couple days and then we get the headline that it's official, then we look for potential short-term top for a sell the news scenario. After that initial reaction to the headline, at that point you say, okay, well, who's left to buy on that headline? So something to keep an eye on. It's the same thing where when we had the invasion with, I don't want to say the names because YouTube categorizes us as a political channel because I say countries' names, but it was a buy the news because it was priced in. Okay, we know it's coming. The more you know the news is coming, the more it gets priced in. So if this were to keep up and if we keep getting headlines that increase probability from 85% to 90 to 95%, then we look for it to be a sell the news event, at least in the short term, even if we're just taking advantage of a day trade. So something to be keeping an eye on. Other coins that have had volatility over the weekend, Ape, certainly one of them, lack of price history. So again, you've heard me say, if you've been watching many times, that the ideal scenario for a bull is proximity to all-time highs. Because big money knows that once you get to all-time highs and enter price discovery mode, it's way easier to make a 10% move up than if you have overhead resistance from downtrends and bag holders that you're then having to work through. So Ape is standing out still very strong. And we have nice clear patterns. We had a nice hourly equilibrium break bull here. Granted, we didn't get a ton of follow through, but certainly enough follow through to position for a risk-free trade if taking a bit of profit into that move. And we just had another one, a 4-hour equilibrium just broke bull. That being said, we do have a double top in the 1830s, so I have to be a bit cautious here. Still in a hourly uptrend. If we lose the hourly higher lows from here, that double top is a red flag. So let's talk about daunting versus not daunting. Double top is okay as long as you keep the uptrend. If you double top and then lose the uptrend, it is then a daunting overhead resistance. So we're scouting an hourly higher low, anything above 1742. Aggressive bears are scouting a 15-minute lower high to be the result of this next bounce. And they're going to try and top fish 1838 resistance. But again, you look at the daily chart, clearly this name has had plenty of volatility over the last week for trading in both directions. Are there any clues on the BTC pairing with the double top that just took place? It's a potential rising wedge. I've been keeping an eye on this. And this was me looking at the Ape USD chart and saying, this chart is very bullish. It's our most bullish altcoin that I'm looking at. So then I put on my bear glasses. What would be a red flag for me? It doesn't mean I think there's a high probability this breaks bear. It was just me saying, okay, I don't see any red flags on the US dollar chart. Are there any red flags out there on the BTC chart? This would be one of them if it were to play out. But it's the same thing. The hourly uptrend is still intact and it's a little double top. So if both pairings lose the hourly higher lows, double top rejection then becomes a lot more convincing. NASDAQ bulls are making a move up the last 20 minutes. Bitcoin responding a bit, not a whole lot. GMT is another one that's had volatility, but here's the one talking about inside bars. Volatility is now incoming. We're getting real tight. So let's draw it up. Let's go to the 12-hour. Let's go to the 6-hour. I like the 6-hour. So just viewing it, these are the levels that I care about as we're getting real tight. And again, look at the volume. The volume, once the equilibrium starts to play out, it just starts dropping off, your average volume. As ranges tighten, the levels that I care about are right there, really. Look at all those touches at 311, resistance of 341 and 345. We zoom in even further, 4-hour, scouting a lower high, anything under 341. So here, if I'm playing this equilibrium, if I have conviction on the direction that we're going to break, I'm real sure, pretty confident that we're going to break bear. I want to be making an entry on this 4-hour lower high, putting my stop over 341, and then letting this equilibrium play out. I either stop out if I'm wrong, or I have a solid win if I'm right. And of course, if I'm looking bullish, I'm trying to bottom fish off support. So GMT, if we were to break bear, it would be a daily lower high. I'd be viewing it like this. So high, high, low, That would be our lower high if we break bear, and then a break of 297 would confirm a daily downtrend. That's if we break bear. If we break bull, the daily uptrend remains. Again, let's go to GMT BTC. Any clues? 4 hour. Let's go to 6 hour, which we just looked at. It's a bit stronger. So this is 1 point in favor of the bulls. We broke resistance. Granted, no follow through to double top, but we didn't even get up to resistance on the USD pairing. Aggressive bears are scouting a daily lower high, anything under 9283. But again, bulls are holding on at this point. So I'd be sticking with the USDT pairing and waiting for these inside bars to break. It's actually technically not an inside bar. We did break the low of yesterday by a couple pennies, so we're sticking with the 6 hour. It's all about 311. 311 is the most important support. And again, we do have space under our resistances for the potential of another 4 hour lower high and potential continued tightening range. Luna. So Luna daily higher low is shaping up here. Have we changed the 4 hour trend back to the bulls? No, but we certainly have enough space for a 4 hour higher low to form once we top out. Daily chart had a lot more space for a daily higher low than most individual names. BTC pairing tightened up and broke bull. So this one was key here, where we had inside bar, another one that wasn't exactly an inside bar, but pretty much a double bottom. And now the highest level that Luna BTC has seen in the last few weeks. So that is keeping Luna BTC as a lead bull. I should say it's keeping Luna a lead bull as long as Luna BTC keeps setting daily higher lows, because that all-time high is not far away for Luna BTC, and it's very notable for me that we confirm the weekly downtrend with zero follow-through. It's a monthly bull flag attempt on the BTC pairing. So again, just as far as whenever we get in an environment that's boring and so many coins are doing the same thing, we want to find the names that look different. So Doge looks different. Ape looks different. It's got its own setup. Luna looks a lot different than Bitcoin and Ethereum and all these other coins do. So we want to be focusing on the names that look different when all the names that look the same have a bit less volatility and a bit less opportunity. It's all about the 4 hour time frames for me from here. Can the bulls confirm 4 hour trend changes and get some daily bounce going? Can the stock market bulls keep the daily bounce attempt going, knowing that there's a lot of space for daily lower highs in a bunch of names? All right. I'm reading the chat room now. I've got another 10 minutes. What do you want to talk about? I'll take any coin requests, questions about trading, psychology. I'm going to do a live open house tomorrow where pre-market for stocks, 9 a.m. Eastern. That will be public on this YouTube channel just to see how we do things in terms of preparing for the stock market day. Hit that thumbs up. Thank you, Ken. Coin is as bearish as you can get. It's a black dirt breakdown. You cannot be more bearish than hitting all-time lows. It's a falling knife. A bounce is attempting to shape up. We will need to confirm an hourly trend change to the bulls. Then we zoom out. Anything under 155 is just a daily lower high. So we can bounce 10% from here and still be in a daily downtrend. So in a name that is in a downtrend on every single time frame and hitting all-time lows, I have zero interest looking bullish until bulls give me a reason to. Because if you're in black dirt breakdown, oversold conditions don't mean a thing. RSI doesn't mean a thing. Psychology across candlesticks, I mean, that's a whole course in itself. So you have different candlesticks giving different shapes, and the psychology behind them is different. Candlestick with a large upper wick shows profit taking. Candlestick with a long lower wick shows buying of the dip. Where those candlesticks form in the trend have an impact. You can have the same shape candlestick. If it's at the top of an uptrend, it's a bearish reversal. If it's at the top of the downtrend, it's a bullish reversal. So we have, of course, candlesticks that goes over all of that real in depth. But it's on a candle by candle basis as far as the psychology of what that individual candlestick shape means. So it is important to learn the names, Doji, Rising or Shooting Star, Marubozu, and in the end, the names don't matter as long as you know what the shape means. But those are important to learn as a bit of an initial foundation. This is a bearish reversal doji. We then drop notably. Okay, I see the back burner. Oh, metals are crushed. I'm not sure that gold is a back burner here. You could say, well, yeah, you could say it is. But again, this wasn't a huge move up from the last one. We were range bound. So we set a weekly lower high. So it's not the same. If we're setting a weekly higher high and then seeing 4-hour oversold conditions, I have much more confidence than if we're confirming a weekly downtrend. That's not really a breakout that we're coming from. It's not really your ideal strong bull environment. Yes, we were bullish for a couple weeks, but it was a weekly lower high. So it's not your ideal back burner. Your ideal back burner is coming from all-time highs. Your second most ideal back burner is coming from a monthly, weekly, daily uptrend. Your third most ideal is coming from a weekly, daily uptrend. Again, all the way down the line. And so the fact that we set a weekly lower high instantly puts it towards the second bottom half of ideal scenarios, which just means less confidence. I don't know anything about pulse chain launch. Why is gold dropping? Again, the easiest way to answer questions on why anything is dropping is more people are selling than buying. That's really what it boils down to. As far as fundamental reasons, you can come up with 10 different ones. And in my opinion, none of them matter as much as the fact that the price is setting lower highs and lower lows. More people are selling than buying. And we're in monthly consolidation in the metals right now. Weekly downtrends confirmed. So the inflation narrative very quickly shifting out the window. We'll see how we react to the FOMC. We will be scouting monthly higher lows on gold and silver, but clearly the bulls have lost all of their short-term momentum. Best courses to learn crypto trading. So I'm biased. I haven't taken any to give insight on other people's courses. We got the free intro to TA course, and we've got our crypto course that we add on to every year. We add on a little section. So I would check out the free course first, and then the crypto course after the intro to TA course. Lori's still going to be doing her thing. Next week, Lori will be covering for Lori, but Lori will be live this week. This is just me in addition to Lori tomorrow. You got it, JAQR. If you're short, congrats. So what's a good stop level? Determine what time frame trend is most important to you. You can say, I will exit if 40,000 breaks. You can say, I will exit when bulls confirm a 4-hour trend change. You can say, I will exit if we get over daily EMA 12 resistance. It all depends on where your entry was, what your game plan was, and what your target was. What I will often do is establish a trade game plan, and then once I take partial profit on that position, for the remaining position, I'll just make a simple statement. I will hold this position as long as we're in a 5-minute downtrend. I will hold this position unless we break X level. Just make it nice and crystal clear. If then statement. No interpretation. If we're in a 5-minute downtrend, then I will continue to hold this position. I don't think there's enough insight, or I don't think there's enough previous price history examples to say that the FOMC just reverses price action. How to trade all-time high breakouts. Buy back burner bounces. First 5-minute oversold conditions. First 15-minute, first hourly oversold conditions. And then I will do exactly what I just said. I'll take some partial profit into strength. And as long as we're setting hourly higher lows, I'll just keep walking up my stop loss. As long as we're setting 4-hour higher lows, just keep walking up my stop loss on the remaining position. And then if we lose the 4-hour uptrend, I stop out and I watch for first hourly oversold conditions, scouting a daily higher low. Gap fills are worth paying attention to as targets. They don't have to fill, but they very often do. So if I don't have a price level that's nearby, I will keep an eye on gaps as targets. So sand, I'm watching this falling wedge, and since I drew it, I need to adjust a little bit as we had another lower high rejection here. Falling wedge. Sand BTC heading down to the double bottom low. Sand USDT, these little short-term spikes have been short-lived. But keep an eye on both of these falling wedges for sand, which are likely to break this week. It can break bear, absolutely. We saw LTC, BTC, long drawn-out falling wedge break bear. But paying attention to see which direction it's going to break. Honestly, I have no gut on how tech earnings are going to play out. I never do. No bias. Just coin flip. It's going to be what it's going to be. I'm not going to be in positions that are a part of that coin flip, and I will trade after earnings. Yes, anything we add on to courses get added to all of them. Haven't done a crypto add-on for 2022 yet. Been brainstorming the topics for it. All right, we're going to wrap it up. I personally do not trade options. A bunch of people in the community do. Lori certainly does way more than me. I am a common shares trader, but there are a bunch of options traders. All right, I appreciate you tuning in. 4-hour trends are our short-term guides. Watch the broader market. Watch tech sector earnings reactions and whether Bitcoin continues to. Oftentimes you'll see once earnings happen, correlations fade a bit. So for example, if Netflix is correlated to QQQ significantly and then Netflix has earnings, that breaks the correlation. Netflix then does its own thing to a large degree. So I'm watching to see, do tech sector earnings, which will impact QQQ, does that mean the QQQ Bitcoin correlation is going to fade a bit? That's something I'm going to be watching very closely for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of this week. Do I own physical metals? Yes. Oh yes, that's right. Trader Pro. Free trial, we're running out of time on that free month trial. Check it out, traderpro.com. See you all shortly.